Excited to meet you, and I know that you guys are probably a little bit nervous, but excited too, and that's normal. That's like whenever you do something new, you're always probably a little bit nervous, a little bit excited. It's like you play a new sport for the first time. And I'm guessing, have you guys ever sold anything before, or is this your first job? Some phone stuff. Okay, with retail.
Yeah, I did retail.
Okay, like clothing.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So just swap clothing for knives. And you're good, So it's definitely like something that you're new at, but it's something that you won't be nervous with after you've been doing it for a little while. So when I first showed up for training, I had never done anything like this before. I worked at a car wash for a year and a half, where my only experience with customers was pretty much saying, "Here's your keys" at the end of the little conveyor belt. And then I worked at landscaping for about 3 years, where I didn't really talk to anybody other than my boss, who just told me what to do all day long. So I didn't really have much experience. I'd never sold anything before other than popcorn, door to door as a Boy Scout, fundraising, and everybody buys from you when you're 12, So this was definitely different for me. So I was super nervous at first. When I showed up for training, I was in there and I'm looking around the room and I'm like, oh man, am I even going to be able to do this? I don't know, and I'm freaking out. And but by the end of the first day of training, I was like, okay, this is a lot easier than I thought, So we're going to give you guys this training manual later today, and literally you could just read this to people and smile at the end, and they will buy stuff. That's how good our training is. So realize that we've been doing this for over 30 years now, and the company Cutco's been around for 6 decades. We do, $250 million of business a year. So the company's really good. So I'm not nervous anymore. I've personally trained over 500 representatives how to work with Cutco products. We've done, as an office, since we opened this office just a year ago, we've done over $1.3 million in business since we opened. So pretty exciting, And I've had representatives go on to win scholarships, like Shelby Wildgush. She started April 2012, and by the end of the summer, she was number 3 in the nation. She's on our scholarship brochure right over here. She made enough money her first summer to pay for University of Delaware tuition, which isn't that cheap, So she worked really hard, by the way, but that's pretty cool. So I've had some great people, go through the doors. We have our top rep board over here. You can see people like Alex Diener. I know he's number 2, but Gretchen's working here since 2002, so she's been doing this for 10 years, But Alex has only been here for 4 years, and he's already over $300,000 in orders, which I think is pretty awesome because he goes to school full time at Kutztown. So he literally goes to school full time. He works with Cutco part time, and then in the summers he obviously works full time. But he's been able to make enough to pay for Kutztown. Before that, he was going to Albright, which is even more expensive, and he's like no student debt right now. So he graduates this coming May. So this is his senior year right now, and he'll graduate debt free from college, and that's all been because he's been working with Cutco, So he's been doing great. Mary Beth Roberts, she works with Cutco full time. This is her career. So I know you guys aren't in school right now, so you can see Mary Beth and Gretchen, they both work full time. This is their only source of income. Gretchen just got married, and she's paying for her and her fiance, or now husband, are paying for the wedding themselves. So it's definitely something that you can make good money doing. A lot of the other people on there, you'll see, are students. We do work with a lot of students, and just provides great opportunities for flexibility and things like that. So Brenda, I know that you have kids, so this will be great because you can kind of your kids have sports or clubs or whatever. It's students have those things too, but they're able to still work and make money. So it's definitely flexible. So that's some of our top members on the team up there. But they're nobody special. Neither am I. If they did it, so can you. So most of them, this was their first ever job like this too. So it's not something you need experience to do. Just hard work and a great attitude, and you'll definitely be successful with us. So the team's excited to meet you. They've been asking, who are they? What do they look like? Can we touch them? And don't worry, we said no. But everyone you meet here, they'll always be excited to meet you. They'll bend over backwards to help you out because they all started in the same seat, myself included. So I started with the company 4.5 years ago over my winter break from Elizabethtown College. Interview just like yours, and then, training just like this. So I really worked my way up through the company, and I'll kind of walk you through that. So when I started, I'd actually applied everywhere for jobs. So the economy was pretty rough in 2009, I guess I was applying. And I was applying everywhere at the mall, everywhere, just trying to find a job for winter break. Freshman year was a little bit more expensive than I thought, so I was pretty broke by the time Christmas rolled around, especially after buying gifts and stuff. So the only place I went to, the mall, applied everywhere. The only place that called me was a women's shoe store So I was desperate. I went in for the interview and, I checked it out and I didn't get the job, I guess. So finally, like a couple days later, after I gave up finding the job, my brother actually got one of these like business cards on his car. Somebody put on there. It said like winter break work. And I was like, perfect, thank you, Lord. So I called the number and this is what it was. So I came in and got the job, and my first 2 weeks I made about $400 over my winter break. It was like $425 or something like that. So that was just 2 weeks though. So that was pretty cool for me. And then I went to this big conference at the end of January, which we have every single year. It's called our year-end banquet, where you'll see the poster over here. All the yearly awards, that's where we hand those out. So I saw people like John Wasserman, the division manager, win a Rolex from the company. And I was like, they give you Rolexes here? Are you kidding me? So I love swords, like medieval times is my thing. So I saw a couple people get sword trophies, like those swords on the right there. Those are like 5 foot tall swords. So yeah, so it's pretty insane. And they got the thermoresin handle too to match, the Cutco knives. So it's pretty cool. So that was awesome. So I saw all those people being so successful and people getting bonus checks for, tens of thousands of dollars. And I'm just like, I just never dreamed of, like I was the first one for my family to ever go to college. Like, I wasn't used to seeing that kind of money anywhere. So it really opened my, eyes to just what the Vector opportunity could be. So after going to that conference, I was like, wow, I'm really gonna, I was planning on working here for 2 weeks, but then I was like, I'm just gonna keep working here. So spring break rolled around, and over my spring break, most of my friends went on vacation, obviously. I just went on a money-making vacation. So I literally got home. I made phone calls all day that Sunday. So the first 2 days I kind of hung out with my family, but then all day Sunday I made calls. I booked up about 25 appointments for the week, and then the rest of the week I was just doing appointments all week. And I was able to make about $2,000 over my spring break at 19 years old. I was like, I'd never seen $2,000 before, so that was awesome. So then after that, I was like, wow, I hit, by the end of my spring break, I was at about $11,000 in total orders. And you only have to be at 10,000 to start training to be an assistant manager. So my manager talked to me and asked me if I wanted to start, learning how to do some of the stuff around the office. So by the time summer rolled around, I was an assistant manager on the team. So I was helping to, just teach other representatives like Marcus. So I was just kind of, helping him out here and there. So we'll meet with him one-on-one sometimes, and he might take you to one of his appointments with him so you can watch him do his appointment, and just random things like that, helping representatives out at the phone jams, just making sure they're getting a lot of appointments set up and things like that. So I was kind of just like an assistant of everybody on the team for the whole summer. My first summer, I got a scholarship with the company. I finished number 7 in the nation. Sold about $63,000 worth of Cutco, so it really blew my mind there. So that was awesome. So just had a lot of success with the company right away. So since I did so well with the job as a sales rep my first summer, my second summer, throughout the fall and spring, I trained and went through the Leadership Academy, which is like our management training program. And by the following summer, I was already running my own office. We have this really cool program for college students where it's called Branch Manager, where they can actually run their own office for the summer. So I went up to Scranton, Pennsylvania for the summer. I opened up in May and then ran my office all the way until, August, and then went back to school. But it was pretty awesome. So as a 20-year-old, I was able to have my own receptionist team like Faith and, just be able to work with people. And it was cool. My buddies would be like asking me like, oh, what are you doing this summer? It's like, sorry, man, I'm going to be really busy. I'm running an office for a company. But if you want to hang out, call my receptionist and we'll set up lunch. They were like, what? So at first I was getting made fun of a little bit for doing the night thing, but after that they were just like blown away, me running an office, So that was awesome. I loved it. So that's why I continued to do that. So I ran another office over my summer break, and then I graduated May 2013 and moved out here to Lehigh Valley, and now I run this office. So this is now my full-time career, just working with the company, hiring and training and coaching people like yourselves to work with the Cutco company and hopefully take advantage of the opportunity the same way I did. So whether or not you showed up today planning on working here for 2 weeks to make some quick cash like I did, or if you showed up like really looking for a career, I want to let you know, no matter how you're feeling right now, it really could become a career, in the future. And we just have a lot of opportunities and a lot of different things that you can take advantage of, things you'll be finding out about as we go throughout training and as you work here longer. So the objectives of training, by the way, are really just to prepare you for your first weekend or so of appointments. So I don't want to overwhelm you. We're just going to, teach you how to, talk to people a little bit better and, talk with Cutco about to people. And I'm going to assume you've never done anything like this before. Some of you do have some experience, and that's great, but we're going to keep it basic, fun, simple. We're not teaching rocket science here. We're teaching how to read some stuff, cut some stuff, and smile and ask a couple questions, So it's pretty simple. We'll practice everything before you go. It's kind of like college, but no test, and that's always great. And college, you got to realize people pay. My college education cost almost $100,000, and I'm not even using my degree, and that's like 50% of graduates, by the way. So that's kind of normal. So this is like a free training, and I've already made over $100,000 working with this company. And it was like 3 days of training, and it was free. So to me, it's totally worth it. By the way, do you guys know anybody who has Cutco? Like, do you know anybody who owns the products already?
I can't remember if I paid attention.
Not sure. Yeah, I mean, like how often you go around and say, "Hey, Aunt Susan, what kind of knives do you have?" So I never heard of Cutco before my interview or training. So you at least heard of it? Okay.
Yes.
But once I started doing my practice appointments with, friends and family, I called up my aunt. She actually lives out in Texas, and she's like, "Wait, is this a practice appointment for Cutco?" And I was like, "Yeah. Have you heard of it?" She's like, "We've had it for 20 years." And I was like, "What?" So she already had them a long time, and she lives in Texas, so I actually was able to do a virtual presentation with her, which is like instead of going to the house, we just walk them through our Blue Book over the phone with a website that we have. So it's pretty cool. So I didn't fly there, so we just kind of did it right over the phone. She got a couple things to add to her set, which was awesome. And just think about it. What did you buy 20 years ago that you still love, or even 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago,
Nothing.
Yeah, things just aren't built to last the way that they used to be. So Cutco's, it's a great product, and you'll meet people who have them, and anytime you do, by the way, have them write you like a testimonial. Like I would say, have them write down like their name, how long they've had their Cutco, and like why they love it. That way when you bump into somebody who hasn't heard of Cutco, you can have them read a testimonial from like a real customer. So it's not just you talking the whole time. So I do that all the time. So if you see my Blue Book, the whole first like 10 pages is just like notebook paper of customers who wrote nice things about Cutco. So imagine starting off your presentation like that, So that can make a big difference. And that'll help out a lot. So let me go over the agenda with you. So what we're going to cover, and I would jot this down just so you know what we'll do each day. So for day one of training, we're really just going to teach you the presentation. We're going to teach you the demonstration today. So you'll learn the demo. It's really easy. I'll kind of walk you through that. It's pretty much what you saw in the interview. So essentially, we will first go over, the company and how long we've been around. So day one, it's just learn the demo. So we'll go over the company, how long we've been around, been around 6 decades, made in America, just to establish some credibility for the company. In case they haven't heard of Cutco, we'll really let them know that it's a legit company, a great company to work with. And then after that, we'll cover what's wrong with most knives. Now, you could know nothing about knives right now. You could have never cooked anything before ever, and you're in the right place. So we'll teach you all the different, advantages and disadvantages of common knives. And why do you think we talk about most other brands before we talk about Cutco? Like, what might the objective of going over those things be? Yeah, so it really creates the need for our products. Think about it. We have 16 million customers. How many of them probably had other knives before they bought Cutco? Probably all of them, right? So here we kind of get the customer unexcited about their tools by educating them on a lot of the problems that they're going to have. And then we educate them on how amazing Cutco is and solve all of those problems. So that's when we kind of go over the features and benefits of Cutco. We cut the rope and we show them some of the great products that we have, and just walk them through like our handle design and all those different things. And that's all on the page. So it's really simple. Then we'll go over the guarantee. Do you remember how long they're guaranteed for? Forever, yeah. So it's crazy. I mean, a forever guarantee. It's the only knife company in the world with a forever guarantee. That just means that we will fix them, replace them, or sharpen them for free forever. So not just the customer's lifetime. Like literally, you could get a set today, give it to your kids 50 years from now. 20 years after that, it could break. We'd fix it for your kids. Like no receipt attached. Like it's insane. So yeah, it's wild. What if your car had that guarantee, right?
Yeah.
Free oil, free fixes, free everything for life. Well, forever. Yeah, it'd be crazy. Like $1 million car, though, right?
Yeah.
And then we talk about all the different tools, what they're used for. Now, when I started, I was in training. Like, I didn't really cook at all. If I could make Pop-Tarts without burning them, like, I was doing pretty well. So this was all new to me, but it was great because in the training, I'll teach you what the different tools are used for. And it's also right there on the page. But also, as I was practicing with, like, my mom, like, I would hand her the paring knife. And before I'd even say anything, she'd be like, oh my gosh, I love paring knives. Like, these are so great. Like, oh, I use this to take the top. Like, my mom loves strawberries. She's like, oh, I take the top off the strawberries with this, like the green thing. And so as like my mom was, saying what she loves them, I was like writing that into my training manual, So as I was going over all my practice appointments, my presentation kept getting better and better because I wasn't just using all the stories here, but I was also taking personal stories from friends and family and people like that. And then after we talk about the knives, we just talk about how to get them. So our customers can actually get the knives in either a tray or a wood block. And we have sets of all different shapes and sizes. Of course, most customers are going to get a set because it's going to save them a lot of money. So we start off with a medium-sized set just because we don't want to be that company that comes in and tries to sell them like the biggest, baddest thing, So we have things where, it's knives, cookware, flatware, like gadgets, and it could be like, $10,000 order, if we have like everything in the book, So we don't do that. We just start off with like a regular medium-sized set. So we do have a bigger one right here. If they're a customer who does cook a lot and they want something a little bigger, we have our complete set. This is actually twice the size of the basic one, and then we have a medium-sized set here. And we really do start off with our basic homemaker set, it's called. So it's only 10 pieces and then like 8 table knives or steak knives, So it's a basic set. So we start off right in the middle. If they want something a little bigger, they can do that. And if they want something a little smaller, we have sets with like 4 and 5 tools in them, So there's really something for everybody. Of course, they can get them individually, but it's kind of like BJ's or Costco. If you buy in bulk, you get a discount. So, of course, we want to try and help our customers to find a set that they like. Yeah, totally, though. If they just want to get a knife, they can get a cutting board, So we have stuff for like $20. So if they don't have a ton of money, it's not a big deal. They'll just get, a couple small things. But the presentation's really just the first booklet here. So you'll see there's a bunch of different booklets. Everything after that is just helping the customer to pick out whatever they want to get. So as far as us presenting goes, it's just that first booklet. So it's really simple. Presentation itself, once you've been doing it for a while, the presentation itself will probably only take you about 30 minutes. Anything beyond that, it's just you going through the products with the customers or, building rapport, chatting, talking for a while. Like when I show up, I'll usually just chat for like 15 minutes before I start the presentation just to kind of get to know the person a little better and things like that. Even when I was practicing, I still, would build not necessarily rapport. Like when I went to see my grandparents, I wouldn't say, hey guys, how long have you lived here? Like I would someone else, but I would just chat for a while because you don't want to show up and just jump right into the presentation, So because most of them you probably haven't seen a lot of your family since Christmas, Mm-hmm. So it's nice to just kind of reconnect for a little bit, get a free lunch or something out of it, and then start the presentation. So that's the presentation. That's what we'll do today. Pretty simple. So we'll have about the first 75% done today. We'll also cover what comes in your sample kit today. And your sample kit is essentially going to be given to you on your 3rd day of the training seminar. So once you complete the training, we'll give you the kit. And that has about 4 knives in it, the scissors, a vegetable peeler, cutting boards, like everything you'll need to do all of the demonstrations for your customers. We do loan that to you for free, and that's yours to borrow as long as you work here. But whenever you're done working here, of course, you got to return it. It's about $412 worth of Cutco, so we give you a lot, So we just loan that out at our own expense. So we give that to you. But that'll definitely help you to present. It really lets the products sell themselves. You cut that penny for the customer. I mean, did Nate cut the penny in your guys' interview? Did he do that for you? Oh, man. Hold on.
No, it was so
So I'll do it again later probably, but when you cut the penny for your customer for the first time, it's like if they haven't heard of Cutco, like this right here, it's like, well, now they have, right? So you can make a corkscrew with a penny, right? So, yeah, exactly though, right? Yeah. So it really does help the customer out that way, and they just get to see them, they get to touch them. So many times when you get a product, you have to, like, especially with makeup, right? Like I think Sephora is probably the only place you can actually use the makeup before you buy it, right? But that's why they sell a lot of makeup, So with our products, it's like, what other? I don't know any other knife company that you can, use them all before you buy them, So it's pretty cool. So they get to try them before they even buy them, which is awesome. Anyway, so what we'll cover on day 2, we're going to start off with a quick video from Modern Marvels. So we were actually featured on the Modern Marvels show on the History Channel, and it's just like a 6-minute clip that kind of walks you through our factory a little bit and, you know, all the marvels about Cutco. They did coin us the world's sharpest knife, so that's pretty awesome. We're going to cover the competition. So we're going to compare like apples to apples, oranges to oranges. We're not going to compare Cutco to the cheap stuff sold at like Walmart and Kmart. We're going to compare it to the other really good stuff out there. So if you guys haven't ever gotten like high quality knives, there's a store called Williams Sonoma right by the Lehigh Valley Mall here, and Williams Sonoma is just like a high-end kitchen cutlery store. Like that's where you'd have to go, like that type of a place to get like good knives, you know. So, and they're not made in China, they're made in like Germany. There's a really good set made in Japan. Like they're like really good stuff. So we'll show you some of that tomorrow just to kind of educate you, because you'll probably bump into some people who do have high quality tools, and we'll talk to you about how Cutco is even better than the other good stuff that's out there. So we'll really educate you on that. We'll also go over the prices of Cutco tomorrow. So after having shown you the prices of some of the competition, we'll show you how Cutco really compares, and we'll show you, you know, the prices the same way we show them to a customer. So we don't just get to the house and say, here's how much everything is, what do you want? You know, we go over the prices at the end after having done a presentation with the customer. We'll also cover scheduling. We're going to set up your schedules. I know that you're all here probably for a different schedule. Some people that come to training, they're a college student where they just kind of want to work like 5 to 10 appointments a week around all the other things they have going on. And what's cool about that is doing 5 appointments here a week is going to probably get you the same amount of income you'd get working 20 hours a week at, you know, the fast food or the cafeteria at school, or the, you know, I was a tour guide for a while, and I could go home for one weekend and do 5 appointments, and I would make twice as much as I'd make for 2 weeks worth of tour guiding, you know. So it's great for that kind of flexible schedule. Some of you are here to work like 20, 30 hours a week, and, you know, doing 20, 30 hours a week, by the end of the campaign, so by like, you know, Christmas time, you probably make about $5,000 with the company working like part-time, you know, which is still pretty good. But we have people on our team that also work full-time, you know, 40 hours. Some people work 50, 60 hours a week. So like my first summer, Shelby, who I talked about, her first summer, we were doing, good morning, if you can actually give it all to him. Yeah, thank you. You know, we were both doing like 60, 70 hours a week most weeks, and, you know, working that much. Like I sold $62,000, she sold 63. We both made about 25-ish thousand for the summer, you know. So imagine that over the course of a, you know, 3 campaigns, so that'd be like 75K for the year. And there's people in our company, our Cutco sales professionals, which means that this is their, some people call them career sales professionals. This is their career. There was like 7 people in the company last year that sold over $400,000 worth of Cutco. And you'll find out about the bonus levels tomorrow, but even at the top commission rate that you know of so far at 30%, that's 6 figures, you know. Yeah. So, but when you hear about the bonuses, you'll be like, wait, how much did we earn? So we'll talk about the bonuses tomorrow. We'll go over the pay a little bit more and stuff like that. But that's pretty cool. And a lot of those people have been working here for 6, 7 years, you know, but that's where you can really get to. So it really can become a 6-figure job for you, which is awesome. It's one of the only jobs I know that you don't need a degree to make that kind of money, you know, so that's pretty cool. So really, no matter where, you fall into those 3 categories, whether it's going to be part-time for you or full-time, we really have any of those schedules for you. And what you can expect each week, we'll have like a weekly team meeting once a week where we'll all get together, and I'll just teach you a couple extra things. Like I said, training's to get you set up for your first 10 or so appointments. But after that, we'll just have like a once a week meeting for a couple hours where we'll all kind of get together, hang out as a team. We'll go out for team night out afterwards. So we'll kind of go to like Chili's or, Applebee's just to kind of grab a bite to eat and hang out. We'll set up some appointments during that team meeting, stuff like that. And then you can expect a one-on-one meeting with myself or one of our assistant managers each week. And that one's only 30 minutes. And that's to go over your schedule for the week. Now, some people, we just sit down and they do the same schedule every single week. Like some people really want like a stable, I'm going to do this every week. So we just kind of set up a schedule at the beginning of their, career with the company. And then we just kind of check in here and there and get some one-on-one time. And if we don't need to spend the whole 30 minutes planning, I'll just have it be like a Q&A. And they can say, hey, David, like, what do I say when a customer says this? And I'll just like teach them some extra tips and stuff like that. But they can expect a 30-minute meeting with me each week and then a team meeting each week. And that's really what the job is after the training. So it's a lot up front, getting through the train seminar, and then we have the advanced training seminar. But after that, like once your first 5 days are over, it's really just half an hour and then like a 3-hour team meeting, and that's it. So the job does get more flexible. which makes it great too. And by the way, that's all that they would like need to do. Now, I'm available more than that, you know. So if they're like struggling with something, they can totally call me. We'll set up like an extra meeting, you know, or we could go out for breakfast or hang out late at night or whatever. So I'll always be available for you if you need, you know, extra help or anything like that. But I just wanted to let you know, like that's what the extreme, you know, it wouldn't be a lot, you know. So that's what we'll go over day 2. We'll set up the schedules, and then we're just going to set up your schedule for your first couple of days in training, and then we're going to schedule a couple of appointments tomorrow too, like for the weekend. So I want you to leave training with like 10 or so presentations set up. That way this weekend you're going to make at least $160 or so, you know. That way, so your first paycheck will be everything you do between leaving training and Monday midnight. So it's only like a half a paycheck, you know. So if you have like a big first weekend, that's great, and then you'll have like a full week, and that will be like your first full paycheck. But since the first one's only a couple days, well, I want you to make the same amount of money you'd make in a full week. So, you know, this weekend, it's like, you know, you want to just kind of try and keep your schedule pretty open. That way you can make a lot this weekend. If we average 10 as a group, that's great. So we'll set up your first couple appointments here in train. I'll just teach you the phone approach. It's really simple. It's pretty much, hey, I got a new job. I got to practice with a couple people. Do you mind listening? Sure. Great. Thanks. What time works for you? And that's about it, you know. So it's really simple. So we'll set up a couple here, and then you'll be able to go home and set up as many as you want to. So some people will schedule 5 or 6 in training, and then they'll just schedule like 1 or 2 at home. Some people only get a couple in training, so they'll go home. And like I went home and scheduled 10 more. So I had a lot my first weekend, so that was pretty cool. And you can do that too. So we'll set up your schedules. The last thing we'll do tomorrow after setting up a couple appointments is we'll talk about your Fast Start contest. And we have a contest for your first 10 days on the job called your Fast Start contest. And the reason we have a Fast Start contest is because we wouldn't want you to get off to a slow start. We want you to get off to a fast start. Yeah, so it's a competition where you can essentially just win like a lot of things. Now, most of it's Cutco. And if you're not in love with Cutco yet, that's cool, but you will be, you know. And the more you can get for free from this company, the better, you know. So you want to take it, and you'll have like a lot of the stuff in the blue book if you do pretty well for your fast start. So when you can, like, the more you show, the more the people want to buy because they get to actually touch it all and feel it all. So that can make a big difference. And that's what we'll cover day 2. Finally, day 3, we will set up a couple more appointments at the start of the day just to make sure you're going to have a filled weekend. Look over your schedule together, make sure it's, you know, how you want it to be. And then we will cover the pay one last time. We'll have like the tax type forms to fill out and stuff. So you'll need your social security number for the 3rd day. That's when we'll do all the tax papers and all the paperwork and everything like that. We'll pass out your sample kits. We'll review everything like one last time before you go out and do your first practice presentations. So it's a lot of review on the 3rd day. The only new things that we learn on the 3rd day are 1, how to write up an order form. And that's pretty simple. Customer's last name. What do you think we write in that box? The last name of the customer, right? So it's just filling in the blanks, okay? And then we will go over recommendations on the 3rd day as well. And that's the only other new thing we'll learn. It's usually everybody's biggest concern when they're new is like, will I have enough people to see? But I can tell you.
Yeah, that's
it's like the only thing you're worried about, right?
Yeah.
So that's normal. And that's usually everybody's biggest concern when they're new. It's like, will I have enough people to see? But I can tell you, out of the 500 people I've personally trained on how to do the job, never have I had somebody that did what I teach them run out of people to see. So if I teach you the same way I taught them and you do that, do you think you'll run out of people to see? No. So it just doesn't happen. It couldn't happen because if you think about it, we do $250 million in business every year only through word of mouth. Like the only way we get customers is through referrals. And we've been selling Cutco that way for 6 decades. So like if it would have happened, like it would have happened by now, you know, is what I'm saying. So because you see one person, they love the products. Well, of course, if, like when you love something, you tell people about it, right? Like you saw that last good movie and probably told a couple friends about it, right? So, well, this is like the best movie they'll see at their house, you know? So, and it's pretty cool. So people love recommending things to their friends when it's a good product, you know? Now, if we had like Walmart knives, like, yeah, it probably wouldn't work. I would agree with you, but we have like the best stuff out there, you know? And I even had some people who like, they don't get Cutco, but they still recommend me to some people, and then some of them get Cutco, you know? So every presentation is really worth it too. So as you can see, we'll really cover everything that you need to know. So kind of like the interview, you want to hold your questions till the end. Now, not the very end, but just like the end of each section. So if you have a question about recommendations, like just ask me on the 3rd day after I've covered recommendations because I'm obviously going to cover it, So I've run training just like this probably about, I don't know, 50, 60 times now, something like that. So I know all the questions that'll go through your head, like that one, which is funny because I said it and then you're like, oh yeah, that's what I was just thinking, right? So I know all the questions that'll go through your head, and I'm really like, I put training together that it should answer them all, So like I have training all typed up, but then I have notes everywhere in case like somebody come up with a new question, like I wrote it in. So you might have a new question, but I'll probably answer it. We'll also take like a couple breaks here and there. So I don't usually take like a huge lunch break. We'll just take like a 5-minute here, a 10-minute here, just to kind of keep the energy in the room. So you can always ask a question during a break too. But if it's like a question on topic, like if I did just cover how to write up the order form and you'd like a question on the math still, like definitely ask me because you don't want to leave training without knowing how to fill out the order form. We'll be doing that a lot. So that's kind of how the training will go. What you can expect from me as your manager, be one of the most positive people you've ever met. So I'm definitely a really positive person. That's something that's really important to me. They say you're an average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So when I think about that, it's like, well, you're probably going to spend a lot of time with me, not always in person, but coaching you over the phone and things like that. So I definitely want to be a great influence on you and a great role model in your life. You'll never hear a negative word out of my mouth. I'll be very supportive. I'll be very honest with you. I'm kind of like a coach. Now, I'm not the easy coach that just kind of lets everybody do what they want at practice. Like I'm a little bit more of a strict coach, but the reason for that is because I know how to be successful here, So personally, I've done over $200,000 worth of business. My offices have done over close to $2 million now. So if you add all the offices together that I've run. So like I know how to be successful here, and I want you to be successful here too. So I'm going to teach you that. So when you're doing great, we're going to let you know that you're doing great. At our team meetings, like 15 minutes of it is just for recognition. So like we'll just have you stand up and we'll clap for you if you're doing really good. And now if you're not doing so well, I'll find something to recognize you for always. But I'll also, talk with you about it. And I would want you to talk to me about it too. So I want it to be like a two-way street. So if you ever need help with something, all you have to do is call me or call one of our assistant managers. Like you'll have everybody's phone number and you can reach out to me, reach out to them, talk to anybody you need at any time, bless you, about any of those things, So we're here to help you. I tell our assistant managers whenever they get promoted to assistant manager, your job is to help everybody else make more money and get promoted. So that's a cool job, and that's what they're here for. I'll also be the same person you met in the interview if I ran your interview. So I'm not Dr. Jackal there or Mr. Hyde when you get the training, and neither is Nate or anybody else who would have ran your interview. And I'm going to work harder than you to make sure that you succeed, So I work really, really hard, probably 60, 70, sometimes 80, 90 hours a week if it's like a crazy week for us. And, so that's not every week, by the way. So I have, time off too here and there. But I do work really, really hard. And most of my time, like I don't meet with customers anymore one-on-one to do presentations, like once in a while. But the majority of my time is spent helping you to be successful at your job, So that's what I'm here to do, is to train you and develop you. So that's what you can expect from me. What we expect from you guys are kind of like a bowl of fruits, and it's a fruity analogy, I know, but bear with me. What happens when one apple goes bad in a bowl of fruit? They all go bad, yes. So what do you have to do to that one apple? Throw it away, yeah. So otherwise it spoils the rest, So you got to get rid of that. Now I can't physically throw away a human being, Now Marcus probably could, but so I've never done that before. But we have asked people to leave training before just because they weren't like positive, Like they were really positive in the interview, but then they got to training and they just like weren't the same person. They were just kind of like that bad apple, So your job's safe, by the way. We didn't ask you to come to training, so we could ask you to leave. That'd be crazy. But you just want to make sure that you're being like a positive person and, just learning, taking notes, and just being involved in the training and getting the most out of it as possible. What qualities do you think we look for in a representative, by the way? Like, what do you think would make a great representative or a great person on our team?
Outgoing people person.
Sure, outgoing, definitely.
Yeah, I just feel like if you're really friendly, you're not sure.
Yeah. Outgoing, friendly, definitely. Got most of mine. Anything else? Positive, yeah. So positive, outgoing. Hardworking is really important to me too. So if you want to be successful here, you definitely have to work hard at the position. That doesn't mean work a lot of hours. Like you don't need to work a lot of hours, but just when you are working, you just got to work hard, and make sure you're putting a lot into it. With this job, what I love is that the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. And I'm sure all of you have had a job where that wasn't the case. Like at the car wash, I was totally the best car washer. I'm not going to lie. I did it for a year and a half. Who else washes cars for a year and a half? So I was really good by the time I left. But I never got a trophy for being the best window washer. I never got a bonus for vacuuming the most cars in a certain amount of time, you know. But here it's like you can get trophies, bonuses, prize. You can win trips. Like I'm going to Rome with the company for free. It's like,
That's awesome.
how crazy is that, you know? So I've been on a lot of other trips too. I won't list them all off, or you'll just get upset. But it's an awesome opportunity, and it's just crazy. So so you really get a lot out of it. So why wouldn't you put a lot into it, you know? So work hard. If you work hard, follow the program, you'll do great. So at the end of each day, we'll give an assignment to go home with, and the assignments are really easy. Tonight you could do it in 20 minutes or less while watching TV and eating popcorn, okay? So the assignments are easy, but since they're so easy, I do expect you to work hard on them. And there's a direct proportion between the effort that you put into the assignments and the size of your first, second, third, and fourth paycheck, and so on and so forth. So it's important to work hard on the assignments. I'm going to go over it in detail later, but tonight's is pretty much just coming up with a list of people to practice with. And obviously, the more people that you have that you can practice with to get started, it's like the faster of a start that you can get off to, you know, and the more money that you can make right away. So I know some people will spend 20 minutes on this, and they'll still be successful, but I'll have representatives like Natalie Roll this summer who she spent about 2 hours on it. So there's a lot of time, but Natalie also made $1,000 within her first 10 days on the job. So,
Which is awesome.
yeah, so that's not normal, by the way. Most make a couple hundred, you know, and that's cool. But if you want to make like $1,000 within your first couple days, like your first 10 days on the job, it's like probably gonna have to work hard on the assignments, you know. So tonight when you're working on your assignment, just ask yourself that question. It's like, okay, what if I could make $1,000? I should probably spend some more time on this, you know. So
you kind of make your own paycheck depending on how hard you
work. Yeah.
If you work hard, and you get a good pay.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Exactly.
Just slack.
So especially here, you know, with bonuses and commissions and stuff, like you can make a lot extra. So for sure. Yeah, great point. So one thing we don't really tolerate is like negative people or people questioning the program. What kind of a representative do you think they'd make anyway if they were just questioning everything all the time?
Horrible.
Probably not a very good one, right? And you'll never see a negative rep in our office. We have this like positive force field at the door. Like as soon as you hit it, you just instantly smile because everybody on this side of the doorways is always smiling and always happy, you know. And by the way, it's okay to have bad days. Everybody has bad days. What I ask for you to do when you're having a bad day is just kind of take out all of your troubles and sit them at the door, come in, have a good time, and then just grab them on the way out. Yeah, nobody else wants those troubles, right? And by the way, if you ever need somebody to talk to, like I'm totally here for you. So I don't want to just be your manager or just be your coach. Like I'd love to be your friend eventually. And Marcus and I are great friends, and Alex is actually going to be my best man at my wedding next year. So we've been working together for 4 years, you know. So that's kind of like a bonus to the job if we do end up becoming great friends. But I just worked with a lot of people over the years. I know some people that, you know, end up working with our company love it here because it's positive, whereas their home life isn't too positive. And sometimes they don't have anybody at home that they can talk to. And I've ended up being that person for them here and there. And that's awesome. So we can definitely talk. But let's talk like over lunch or in the hallway or outside, you know, something like that. That way the office is always positive. I want this to be a place that people are excited to come to all the time. So I'm sure you'll be excited about that. So I'll give you an example of a negative rep versus a positive rep. A negative rep would say something like, well, what if I don't sell anything? It's like, well, that's a negative question. You're focused on the negatives of the what if could happen, right? That's like if you went to college and every single day you asked yourself, what if I fail? What if I fail? What if I fail? What do you think's probably going to happen? Probably going to fail because you're focused on failure, right? So you should expect to do well. I would jot that down. Expect to do well. Expect to do well. Ask yourself a positive question, like what if I sell so much that I run out of order forms? Now that's a good problem to have. The answer is you write it on blank paper and copy it over later, all right? So you really can't fail if you expect to do well. You can't fail if you follow the program. We've been selling Cutco for over 60 years. We have over 16 million customers now. So how could a rep that does what we teach them not sell anything? You know, that just wouldn't make sense. So don't focus on the what ifs. Focus on the what works. So you can't fail if you follow the program. And it's important to know that too, by the way, because obviously we actually are the #1 recruiter of college students in the nation. So more college students work with our company than any other company in the entire nation. And, you know, when you think about college students, it's like, why do you think most companies don't like to work with students?
Because they're young.
Yeah,
And
young,
they like not really much experience.
a lot of experience.
Young kids have more ability of learning because we're younger.
So that's positive, right? So some of the
Mhm.
negatives is like, well, they might be immature, they might be irresponsible, or they might just not have any experience, right? So that's what some companies would say. Now, we love to work with students because we found that if you train somebody well, they can actually learn it really well, and they can be really successful with the company, and especially if they work hard, though. But every now and then, do you think sometimes somebody slips through our door and they go through our training, they just kind of end up being that college kid, the one that, you know, is kind of lazy and kind of irresponsible. And yeah, that still happens, you know. So we give a lot of opportunities to a lot of people to work with our company, and not all of them work here forever. And some of them do, by the way, but the ones who don't, it's usually like their choice, you know. And some people say, like if you ever Google vector marketing, like you might see like some negative things, some negative reviews or negative people, and that's every company, by the way. You could Google Harvard Law School and you'll see a couple negative things. You know, so you could Google anything, but I just want you to realize that people who say negative things, it isn't because the company doesn't work. It's just because they didn't work, you know. And like, how could someone like Alex, you know, make enough to pay for school and graduate debt free and win a couple trips, but then the other person says, oh, vector is a scam? It's like, well, what's the difference? You know, it's like, well, Alex worked hard and he did what he was taught, and that person just didn't do what he was taught, you know. So it's kind of like it's like school too. It's like you go through school and you probably had a friend at some point that got a really bad grade on a test, and who's the first person they blame, themselves or the teacher? The teacher, right? So that's kind of like vector in this case. You know, people just blame the company, but I want you to realize that if you're positive and you work hard and you follow the program, you'll definitely be the latter, like the person that's like Alex, that's successful. So yeah, lazy people don't do well here, just to forewarn you. But if you work hard, you follow the program, you'll make a lot of money and you'll blow yourself away. So the training works, you know, great. So expect to do well. I'm going to give you a quick little equation here. So your expectations lead to your actions, which lead to your results. So realize that your expectations, that's what sets you up to make the action. And your action is what's going to lead to your results. So when you're thinking about it, it's just important that when you show up to the place you're going to do the presentation, like the house or whatever, it's important. Like some representatives will say like, oh, this house isn't as big as the last one. They're probably not going to buy that much, you know? And they'll kind of prejudge. So if you tell yourself before you walk in, oh, they're probably not going to buy that much, it's like, well, yeah, they're probably not going to make the right actions at that appointment, and they're probably not. So every presentation, as soon as I show up, like one of the first things I would do is I'd play my favorite song on the way there, first off, and I'd always drop down like the rear view mirror, and I'd have like a quick little chant I'd say to myself. Yeah, like, David Kurtner, you're the man, you know, and I would just pump myself up before I go in there. She's going to love you. She's going to get everything. And then I'd walk in there, and it's just important to have yourself set up the right way. So have positive expectations. Jot these two things down. They're really simple, but I'll jot down anyway. The first one is the program works when you work the program. The program works when you work the program. So what that means is that you can be creative, you can be innovative, but you don't want to try and reinvent the wheel. You know, what we teach works. So as far as your training manual is concerned, yeah, just don't change it too much. It's okay to put it in your own words. For sure. And you can add stuff in, but you never want to get rid of anything. This is like you'll see it's all like bulleted and everything. So when we go into it, it's the basic like nuts and bolts of the presentation. So you want to add stuff in, add your own spice, add your own flavor, you know, make it your own presentation. But you don't want to get rid of anything because we've been doing it the same way. We've tried everything over the last 60 years. The way we do it now is the best. So do it the way we're going to teach it. And the second thing to jot down is that the training works when you let it. The training works when you let it. So you got to be open to new ideas. You might catch yourself thinking, that'll never work. The training works when you let it. That'll never work. But why would we teach you something that doesn't work? You know, that would just be a waste of everybody's time. How do we know that what I'm going to teach you throughout the training seminar works, by the way? How do we know it works? Yeah, it's been working for 60 years. Plus, the company is willing to pay you a lot of money to do what I'm going to teach you. Like, even when you don't sell, they still pay you a base pay. How is that possible, right? Because think about that. So when you don't sell, the company takes money out of their profit and they give away their profit to the representatives for not selling Cutco, whereas the sales rep position, So how is that possible? It's because the company knows that our programs are solid and that if you follow the programs, you're going to at least hit the averages. And if you hit the averages, you're going to make a lot more off of your incentive pay than your base pay. So the occasional time where you have a bad week and you end up making, the base pay, it's like, well, that's okay because you've already made a lot of money for the company because you've been working hard all along, So it's cool because even when you don't sell, you still get paid. And not a lot of companies can do that, by the way. Like I'd say 95% of the sales rep type positions that are out there in the world are straight commission. So it's like you sell, it's do or die, So, but this company is like we've proven over the last 60 years that our products are so good that we don't need to put any pressure on our representatives in order to sell. I actually think we sell more because there is a base pay because there's no pressure. Like you're at the presentation, you're not like if they don't buy, I can't put food on my table. You're not worried about that at all. You're just like, oh, I'm gonna have fun with the customer. We're gonna have a great time. I'm just gonna help to see if they want to get a couple of things, and usually the customer does because it's a laid back presentations. We're not that like pushy salesman. We're just a laid back friend who's doing a presentation, So your goal of your presentation shouldn't be to make a sale. Your goal should be to make a friend and have a good time. And if you do that, you'll probably make a sale, So it just kind of happens that way. I want to redefine sales for you quick because I remember when I first started working here, I got some flack from some of my, like my parents as an example. They're like, you're too nice to be a salesman. I was like, what is that? But that's like a stereotype that you'll hear. It's like, oh, you got to be pushy. You got to be persuasive, So I want you to realize that most sales companies, it's like, yeah, that might be true, but it's definitely not with us. And sales usually has like a negative vibe about it, But I want you to realize that what you're doing is really a positive thing. So first off, every job is sales, just to redefine sales for you. So what is a sale? The definition, an exchange of money for a good product or service. So when you worked at retail, when I worked at the car wash, it's like that was all sales. Some are just a little different than others. But even like a doctor is a salesman, he's got to sell you the physical, right? You got to trade him the money for the, So every job is sales that you're ever going to have in your entire life, which is why this is a great job to get some great resume experience because it really relates to other jobs and other companies, so it can help you out in the future. Just a little side note there. So first off, every job is sales, but the way that we do it, I think, is really the best way because there's no pressure and it's a great product. Now, like I said earlier, if it was Walmart knives, like I wouldn't work here because I would never feel comfortable showing that to people because you'd probably have to lie about it and it's just not a good product and I just wouldn't feel comfortable showing that to people. One second. Yeah, take my office and do a little demo. Hi, I'm David. I'm the manager. Nice to meet you. How long have you had Cutco for?
Probably close to 10 years.
10 years? Okay. You like them?
Yeah, I really do.
Yeah?
I don't travel to a knife.
Just one knife? Okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing about them?
They stay sharp.
They stay sharp? 10 years?
Yeah.
These two are in training right now to learn how to sell them. So, sure. Did you guys have somebody come out to the house and do like a demonstration or something? Or did you get them at a...
He was a friend and he just started and he needed...
Some practice appointments? Yeah.
That's all you need from
Yeah.
You help them out.
Well, I sure did.
And now you've got them since.
Yeah.
There you go.
You probably
So he
bought them
helps you
because you
out.
wanted to help them, but then
Right.
it actually really is, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Marcus is one of our assistant managers. We'll definitely help you out. Thanks for dropping in. You can shut that down. Sweet, we get a little live testimonial there. That's the first training that ever happened for, so that's sweet. Yeah, so it's funny. Sometimes like friends and family, like they bought them for me just to kind of, help me out a little. But then, it's been almost 5 years and they're all like, we'll get together for Thanksgiving. They're like, David, you still doing that knife thing? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh my gosh, I love my Cutco. So just like her, so it's crazy. But anyway, think about it this way. Everybody already uses knives. So it's not like we're showing them something that's not practical. It's like everybody already has knives. They're already using knives. So think about it this way. If you were like, let's say you're a homeowner and your refrigerator breaks, what are you going to have to do? Get a new refrigerator, right? And it kind of sucks. Like nobody wants to have to drive to the store, shop around, and spend $1,000, $2,000, sometimes $8,000 on a new refrigerator, right? But imagine it this way. What if, like the exact same day that your refrigerator broke, someone calls you up and says, hey, not sure if your fridge is working too great or not. And you're like, oh, actually, it just broke. It's like, oh, cool, perfect. But anyway, I work with this cool fridge company, and I actually get paid just to stop by and show you all of our different models of fridges. We got, big ones, small ones, affordable ones, high-end ones. And, I can swing by. We can actually bring over my tractor trailer. We can set up all of our different models right at your home. You can use them all for 15 days, find out which one you like the best, and then we can actually finance it on like a 5-month interest-free payment plan. How does that sound? It's like, yeah, definitely come over, right? So they come right out to your home. They show you everything. You get to use them all and try them all out. And like, you can't put your food in the fridge at the store, It's like you can't make ice to see if you like the ice machine, right? But you get to use like all these different products before you ever even have to get them. Now, realize that your customers' knives, like they might not be broke, but they probably don't work that well. Like most people have wooden handled tools that are falling apart, or they have, stainless steel edges that are duller than anything, and they just don't even cut well. So that's really what we're doing for people, is we're like showing them something that's going to save them a trip to the store. They get to try them out before they have to get them. They get a 15-day trial. By the way, it's like they're guaranteed forever, so you'll never have to buy another fridge for the rest of your life. It's like, or your kids' lives, like, holy cow, So when you think about it that way, it's like that's what we're doing for people. So I want you to realize that sales isn't something that you do to someone. It's something that you do for someone, as long as it's a good product like Cutco. So I want you to be comfortable with it. Yeah.
We're doing a demonstration, and I take one of their knives and like one of
Mm-hmm.
like whatever I'm demonstrating,
Mm-hmm.
like with the Cutco knives, and like I can take one of their knives.
Do comparisons.
Yeah, and do like a comparison to kind of show them exactly
how much better it is. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, yeah. We actually do that. We actually, on the rope that we cut, we actually use their knife, and then another one of their knives, like 2 different of theirs, and then we use Cutco's, and Cutco goes right through, obviously, and it's awesome. So we do a couple cutting comparisons for them like that, but we also usually do that on like food. Like I'll usually have them grab like a tomato or like a apple or something, and we'll just like, hey, what do you usually cut a tomato with? They get their knife out, like squashes it all over the place. It's like, here, try Cutco, and it's like clean cut right down through. And they're like, oh my gosh, yeah. So you can do that. Some representatives bring their own food along. If you'd like I love to cut potatoes with the cheese knife. Now you won't have a cheese knife, but eventually if you get one, it's just an awesome trick, So you can like make up your own little, things that you want to do. I know Marcus usually brings like a pineapple, just because pineapples are really hard to cut, and like whole dice it up, So you can do stuff like that. So really, yeah, definitely make it your own if you want to do some extra comparisons. So anyway, so that's what we're doing for people. So I want you to feel comfortable with the idea of sales. So as we go through training, training really is designed to teach you how to obviously sell Cutco products. And in order to do that, the main thing is you just got to be comfortable with the idea of people buying them from you. And if you're comfortable with that, then everything I teach is going to fall into place and help you to do really well. So we're in this together, by the way. Like I don't get paid to run the training seminar. I do, though, get paid based upon how well I run the training seminar. So in other words, I get paid directly upon how well you do. So how well do you think I want you to do? Amazing. I want you to be the best reps the company's ever seen, for sure. So the same way that I know you don't get paid for the training seminar itself, you get paid based upon how well you learn the stuff that we go over in the training seminar. So you want to be a sponge, get the most out of it and soak it all up. The sales rep position is awesome, by the way. You can have flexible hours. You can have a few hours, a lot of hours. You can have different schedules. You can take a fun day off. You don't even need my permission. Like, hey, David, 2 Saturdays from now, I need that day off. It's like, I'll say, okay, great, have a good time, and we'll plan right around whatever you're doing. And I might ask you what you're doing, but that's just because I'm friendly, and maybe I want to come along if you're doing something, So, and I'll teach you how to manage your time better. It's cool. If you want to have a lunch break during the day, it's like you're not going to be like at an office where you have to say like, you know, hey, can I clock out and go take my 30-minute break? And 30 minutes, like, where can you go, you know? So I remember at the car wash, I'd have to like run across the street to McDonald's and check out and get my food. I have to eat it on the way back because like 30 minutes is, you know. So with this though, I can like go do 3 appointments at the beginning of the day from like 9 to 12 or so. I can take like a 12 to 1:30 lunch break if I want to, go get lunch with my mom or one of my friends, and then start a couple appointments back up again. And, you know, you can schedule in time to pick your kid up from the bus. You know, it's like you can schedule in time to do all the other stuff you want to do, like, and work with us too. Bless you. So it's pretty cool. So it can be flexible. It can be, you know, stable too, though, as long as you know, work hard and you treat it like a job and not a hobby. You know, sometimes it's so flexible that people start to kind of treat it like a hobby, you know, more than a job. So you treat it like a job, be professional about it. The biggest thing is just getting some set phone times in your schedule, making sure you have some set times where you're going to schedule appointments. As long as you're always having time that you're scheduling, it's like, you know, you're always going to be doing appointments, you know. So the biggest thing is it all starts on the phone, and we'll obviously cover all that throughout training, but just a little tip for you. So the experience is great too. It'll look great on a resume. No matter what your major, it'll definitely help you out in the future, because every job, you know, is sales, like we said. Like even as like a scientist in a laboratory, it's like, how am I going to talk to people there? It's like, well, you got to sell your ideas to get grants for funding for projects and ideas and things like that. So I went to school to be a teacher, actually. I went for early childhood education, and, you know, at first I was like, how is this job going to help me? But as I started getting in the classroom and going in front of more and more people and having to go to that parent-teacher conference that everybody's always worried about, it's like, well, I had parent-teacher conferences were a breeze for me, because I had already talked to over hundreds of families, like, in their home settings. So talking to them at the school in my setting was like, that was a piece of cake, you know? So I learned how to connect with so many different personalities that when I would go up to give speeches in front of my class at school, it's like I was comfortable with that too, because I connected with so many different types of people that I knew I could connect to the whole audience, you know. So it definitely helped me get out of my comfort zone. I was kind of shy when I showed up for training. Like, I didn't like talking in front of groups of people, but after a while it got really easy. So awesome. Thank you for stopping by. And we'll really teach you how to work with all different types of people too. You'll have lovely people like that. That's who most of your, you know, presentations will be for. So there's only a couple different personalities out there anyway. You have your people with like a low self-esteem, and when you meet with somebody with a low self-esteem, you really just want to pay them like a couple genuine compliments, you know. Yeah. Even if it's, I like your hair, like, you'll make a new best friend for the day. You'll also bump into a couple know-it-alls, you know, like that person who feels like they always know the best way to do things. You guys know a know-it-all now, right? So you might practice with a couple of those types of people, and with them, to be great, you just want to let them do most of the talking. So just ask a lot more questions than you normally would. So I'd say, well, hey, why do you think our edge is better than your edge? And then they'll really get excited about the product for you. Yeah. So so let them do most of the talking. Now, yeah, because they know it all anyway. So no matter what you say, they're gonna know. So just ask them questions that will help you out. Now, for the negative people, which I'm sure you bumped into a couple at previous jobs, you don't have to worry about working with those here. Like, I'm sure if you ever worked at like a cashier or, you know, McDonald's, Burger King, like any of those types of places where you're like forced to stay still all day, occasionally a couple people come into your store that are, you know, having a bad day, and they let you know they're having a bad day, right? You guys ever have that happen? Burger thrown at you? Yeah, I've never had that happen. So, yeah. So, and that's just like the way the world works. Like, you do bump into those people sometimes. What's cool with this job is, though, you never have to work with those people, because people don't recommend you to people that they don't like. Yeah. Like, you know, I probably have 500 contacts in my cell phone. If you did a presentation for me, I'm not going to write down the 20 that aren't like the nicest people. I'm going to write down the other, you know, like the top 20 nice ones. You know, that's actually what we asked the customer for. Like, hey, just, you know, your top 5 to 10 nicest friends who might be willing to listen to the presentation. That's really what we asked for, you know. So people are going to recommend you to people that they like. And if for some slight chance one of those negative people got onto the list, when you called that person, do you think they'd agree to do a presentation with you? No. So the worst that happens is you have like a bad 10-second phone call, you know, but you never actually have to meet that person. So 95% of your presentations are going to be with the positive people. So you have negative Nancy, and then you have positive Patty. You guys are going to get to see positive Patty all the time. Positive Patty gives you free food. She gives you free stuff. I mean, I've gotten tons of free stuff over the years. I got offered a free couch when I was moving out of my parents into a different apartment. Like I was telling the customer throughout the demo, like, yeah, I'm moving out soon. And like, oh, we just got a new couch and our old one's still in the garage. Do you want it? And yeah, totally. So it's like crazy stuff like that. Johnny on our team got a free calculator. So that was just random that somebody worked at like a office supply type store. My old manager, Matt Angstack, got like a free box of soap, which is kind of weird, but they work at a soap factory. I'm talking like box of like organic, like lifetime supply of
nice.
soap. Yeah. So he sold it on eBay, made $150, so he didn't keep it, but still pretty cool. A lot of times it's just a free glass of water, or I had one day where I had like 7 appointments and 4 of them were with like older women who had their own homemade iced tea. So I just felt like I was getting paid to go around all day and sample iced tea and air conditioned homes. I went from landscaping one summer to like iced tea and air conditioned homes the next summer, So you're going to get to see awesome people. I just had so many awesome appointments. I've had customers like come to, I used to do a lot of theater. Like I've had customers come to shows to like watch me do theater, like just because of a connection we made over an hour and a half at their home, So it's pretty sweet. So you'll gain a lot of confidence. You'll learn how to present yourself better. It'll give you the skills to get future jobs, because when you're at a job interview, what you're really doing is selling yourself to the personnel manager and trying to get the job. So you'll be able to do that a lot better too. It'll definitely boost up your resume. You'll become more outgoing too. And by the way, you might not be the most outgoing person right now, and you don't need to be in order to be successful here. You just got to be friendly. I wasn't that great at talking to people when I first started working here, but I just became really good at asking questions. So I just let them talk like literally the whole time. Who's everybody's favorite topic anyway? Themselves. Yeah. So it's like, oh, how long have you lived here? Oh, where do you work? Oh, what do your kids do? Oh, what? And then it's like you can just ask 5 questions, can get them to talk for 10 minutes. So just let them talk a lot. That's actually a polite thing to do anyway. So the income's great too. I mean, raise your hands if you want to make some money while you're working here. Yeah, definitely, right? So what's great is that we have a stable base pay, and with the base pay, there's really no pressure. And I'll really walk you through the pay here. I'm just going to review the pay with you quick. So let's go over that. So I'll start off with the base pay. So if you remember, we have a $16 base pay. And base pay just means it's not based on sales. So it means it's like a guaranteed income. Now, it's $16. If you would have saw like an ad or a letter or online, it would have said like base/appointment. So what that means is that it's $16 per hour per appointment. And we word it that way on purpose because the average appointment won't usually take a full hour, but you'll still get the full $16. Now, this is like the last week where it's 16, I think. So you got to start again. So it's sometimes like in the fall and spring, the pay's a little different. But so since I just wrote 16, 16. So you probably make way more than that anyway, but it can make a difference. So $16. So that's the base pay. And when you're new, by the way, some of your presentations will probably take the full hour because you're new. So it's going to take you a little bit longer. And when I saw like my grandparents and some of my aunts and uncles, like I was at their house for a little over an hour. Now, even though it was a little over an hour, it was still $16. I wasn't working for over an hour though. Like I was talking for a half an hour and hanging out, and then I was working for like an hour, So it's 16 either way. So if you're like in a rush and you got to get them done, quickly or whatever, just, keep it to an hour, and you can definitely get it done within an hour. But, if you got extra time, you want to just kind of hang out, then, totally do that. And like I said, you'll probably make more anyway, but that's our stable base pay. So that's guaranteed, no matter what. So let's say for the week you did 10 appointments, it's $160, right? What if you did 20 appointments? Well, 20 times 16 is $320. So, that's a pretty good income just to do 20 appointments, And that's guaranteed no matter what. Now, the only qualifications that the company has for the base pay, people have to be 30 plus. So think about it, we had to set an age limit somewhere. Sean could go to a 9-year-old, probably not too safe or effective, right? So I think they picked 30 just because most people under 30 usually aren't focused on getting like high quality items for their kitchen, and they're just a little bit more well established. And by the way, anybody of any age can buy Cutco. So if you know somebody who, like my brother, when I first started working here, he was, I think, 23 at the time, and he already had some Cutco actually. I found out after I did the presentation for him, and I just wanted to like literally practice my presentation, you know. So I just literally wanted to go through it with someone, and at the end, he bought like a fishing knife. Now, even though I practiced my demo with him, like I wouldn't have gotten the base pay, but he bought like an $80 knife, so I still got like $8 off of my incentive pay. I'll go over the incentives in a second, but so anybody who's not going to meet these qualifications, it's kind of like an at your own risk, like commission only type person. So, but for the base pay, of course, the company had to set a few qualifications. Can't have you like walk around and show them to a bunch of, you know, like kids, you know. So just, you know, it makes sense. So 30 plus. They do have to be working full time, and that's just so they have an income, you know. Now, by the way, like I've seen retired people who've bought a lot of Cutco from me, and that's awesome. And if you know somebody who retired the way that they wanted to retire and they love to cook, it's like you might want to go and see them, but just know that it's kind of hit or miss. Whereas if somebody's working full time and they don't get any Cutco, you're still going to get the $16, you know. So they got to be working full time, and then we do one-on-one presentations, not a group. So in order to get the base pay, it has to be a one-on-one setting with the customer. So we don't do like the whole neighborhood Avon party type thing, you know. We just do like a one representative per family type presentation, and we just found it to be the most effective that way. Most people don't like to talk about their finances in front of their friends anyway, so it's more comfortable for the customer. Especially for you, it makes it easier to get the hours in too. One presentation for 20 people is $16. You know, 20 individual presentations is $320. You know, so you want to see people in a one-on-one setting. So as long as you see people who meet those three things, you're guaranteed that $16 no matter what happens every time. That's for your entire career. So that could be 2 years from now. You know, you could see somebody like that, and if you didn't make enough off the incentives, you still get the base. You know, so that never goes away. You always have that, and that makes the pay stable.
How's it like hard to keep track of them?
We're gonna have a paper that you fill out with like the customer's name, address, phone number. We have the customer sign it, and then essentially it's just looks like this. So
Basically like the time.
yeah, so it's like, you know, every presentation. So we add them all up. So like Devin Weeder, as an example, did 12 presentations. 12 times 16 is $192. So we got $192 for that. And what's cool is if it was like only a incentive job, like he would have only gotten like $94 that week because he only sold enough to make $94, you know. So he got $192. So let me go over the incentive, and I'll give you another example in a second. So remember the incentive. Oh, that looked wrong. Starts off at 10%. And that goes from 0. So you start off at 10%. So do you guys remember what the average order of Cutco is? No? For our new representatives, it's closer to $200, but our national average order is about $299, so about $300. So I'm gonna use $200 for my examples because for our newer reps without as much experience, it's usually closer to $200, but the average rep on our team is about $300. So 10% times $200 equals $20. So let's say you did one presentation and they got some Cutco, and it was an average order. Well, you already made more than the base pay just for being average, and that's when you're brand new, you know. So it's not hard to make more than the base. So it's 15% would be the first promotion, and then you get $30 if it was an average order. Now, what if your first customer, like, so Natalie rolled, her first customer spent $287. So 10% of $287, she got $28.70, like right off her first presentation. But her second customer spent how much? $909. So 10% of that, it's like $90 for that presentation. So that's pretty sweet. Right now, that's not normal. It doesn't always happen. I'm thinking that's something like what she got. She's like, yeah, I helped them out a lot. You know? So sometimes, you know, they get a lot, which is cool. So that's when they're brand new. Now you get your first promotion at 15% happens when you hit your first $1,000 in total orders, which sounds like a lot. Do the math, it's 5 average orders. So most people hit their first promotion within about their first 10 or so presentations. So it's about 6 out of 10 who get Cutco. So 6 out of 10 got it. 6 times 200 would be like 1,200. So really, even if you're a little below the averages, so you should be expecting to hit your first promotion within your first 10 or so presentations. So most of you will probably hit that this weekend. You can see some people take a little longer. So Natalie did it in 2 presentations. I have another example here of Devin. So Devin took 12 presentations. Well, he hit it on his 13th presentation. So he got off to like a slower start. So his first week he made the base pay. So what's cool is his first week he did 12 appointments. He made 192. His second week he did 9 appointments and made 531. So because he hit his first promotion, that very first appointment there, so then he was making 15%, and then he hit his next promotion, so then he was making 20%. So you can see all the math at the bottom if you want to, but you can see. So what we do, I'll put the rest of them up here. So 20%, $40, 25%, 50, and 30% would be $60. So once you're at 30%, you're making almost quadruple the base pay, just for having an average order. And I think Devon's is a great example. So Devon's is a little bit more normal. Natalie, I talked about earlier, she got off to a really great start. So her first week made 158. Her first 3 days, she only did 3 appointments, but so she would have only gotten $48, but all 3 of them got Cutco. So she made like 158. And then her first full week, she did 12 appointments, made an additional 674. So you can see this is like their second full week. So similar amount of appointments, similar amount of pay. Both of them hit their first 3 or 4 promotions within their first like 10 days on the job. So those are some great examples. And you can kind of see how it all works out. So essentially what we do at the end of each week, and then there's bonuses too, and we'll cover the bonuses tomorrow, but at the end of each week, we take that paper, we add up the base, we add up the incentive, and you're guaranteed the higher side at the end of the week. So that means you're always going to get at least your base pay, but if you make more off your incentives, you're going to get a bigger check. And of course, that's the goal. So I could teach you 1 or 2 things during training. I could either teach you how to make the minimum amount of income, or I could teach you how to make the maximum amount of income. Which would you rather me teach you? Max amount of income, so what do I have to teach you how to do? How to really sell Cutco. Yeah, so we're not just going to teach you how to show it. I really want to teach you how to sell the products and help your customers to get some great things as well. Like I said, it's something that we're doing for people, not 2 people. So the income's great, and the job's a blast. Cutco makes it fun. You can win trips, prizes, trophies, all kinds of things like that, which makes it awesome. This year, all the sales reps are in a contest to win a trip to, I think it's Aruba. So that's pretty awesome. And since you're starting like at the end of the year, it'd be really hard to win this year. But like just so you know, next year, if you're working with us all year, you'll get to possibly win a trip to some all-inclusive type cool place. So I'll announce that to you as soon as I know what it is for next year. So expect to do well. To get the most out of training, just a couple tips. You want to be on time. So you guys both were here early today, which is great. So, just like 10 or 15 minutes early is awesome. That's my first tip, is just to be on time, be prompt. Great way to get promoted at future jobs. You want to work hard on the assignments and the practicing. So work hard on the assignments and the practice. We are going to practice a lot during training, so we'll do a lot of role playing and things like that. So you get to role play with your partner here and just practice, pretend one's a customer. And when we role play, the purpose is just to help you to really get the materials down and practice and feel more comfortable with everything. You want to jump in feet first. So that means do your first presentation right after training on what day is it? Wednesday, Friday. So right after training on Friday, do your first demo right away. So demo, presentation, appointment, that's all the same thing. So jump in feet first. So don't be a fence sitter. And dress professionally. And so that would mean guys, wear a tie, ladies, whatever the equivalent of the tie would be. And so you can make that your own. it's cool. You have a lot more options. We just kind of have to wear this every day. So, but dress nice. Also, be professional. So that just means like don't ever swear in the office. I know that at some work environments that's okay, and some places you might have did that before. But I just want you to know, in this office we don't swear at all. So this is like a professional environment. That's good practice for the future. And we should have a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds on our team. So we have a lot of Christians on our team, lots of people with different views and different things like that. So that's just something that's important. By the way, I'm from a family where like the F word is like the at our house, So my family is like they swear like sailors is the expression, I think. So they curse all the time. And since coming to Christ, like that's been a really hard adjustment for me, is like not doing that anymore. So it's good practice for me too, by the way. So you'll never hear me swear. Unless I'm like really excited and we're not at the office, maybe like one time maybe eventually, if you get your first promotion, like at your first appointment, I might shock you, because that happens. But anyway, so and as far as advancement goes, if you ever want to get promoted, we have lots of opportunities. We have things like assistant manager, like Marcus. We have assistant manager in training, which is like the step before that. The first step to anything is key staff. So our key staff is really like our leaders of the office. We don't have any clicks here, but if we did, key staff's like the cool people. And our key staff, they just get like one extra meeting with myself where we don't really talk about knife skills, we talk about life skills. So like time management or public speaking, or this summer we did like a resume workshop. So I helped them all work on their resume, because you need one to get into some different colleges and stuff like that. Resume workshop, it could be, all those different types of things. I've done financial workshops on like how to start investing and things like that too. So all things I've learned from Vector that I, like to share more outside of the knife stuff. So key staff, we teach some of those things. Lots of times we have extra contests, but the way you get promoted to any of these positions, key staff, assistant manager, to be on my side of the desk running your own office, it's 3 things to do to get promoted. So the first thing is a great attitude. So positive attitude. So number 1, positive attitude. Number 2, hard work. I'll never judge you based upon your skills or how much you sell or anything like that. I'm just going to judge you on your work ethic. So as long as you're always working hard, the other stuff, the numbers don't matter to me. So I care more about your character than anything else. So positive attitude, hard work, and then the last thing is communication. You got to have good communication. So that means like talk to me a lot. If you want to get promoted, just talk to me often. Like I literally called my manager after every appointment for like the first year on the job. So, because I knew that he'd been working here for 3 years and I had been working here for 3 days, so and so on and so forth. So I just continued to call in and ask for tips and advice, because think about it, you just want to like steal. Like imagine if like you just got drafted to play NFL football or whatever sport it is that you're into, and you got to like play with the best of the best. Like, well, we have some of the top people in the company, like in this office on this team. Like Alex Diener has won like 4 or 5 scholarships. It means he's been top 25 in the nation like 5 different times out of like 40,000 people, top 25. So I've gotten 2 scholarships, Marcus over 30,000 in sales, so you see the top rep board. So like, don't be afraid. Like once you put the name to the face, like don't be afraid to talk to those people and get advice and tips, because that's only going to make you better. So good communication. I don't know that you want to get promoted unless you tell me, so you can show me too, obviously. So my manager said the road to management is paved with order forms. That's what he told me. And I was like, okay, so I should sell a lot. So I did that first, but then I started talking with them more about all those things. So anyway, what we'll do now is take a quick 5-minute break, and then after that, we'll pass out your training manuals and we'll start diving into the actual presentation, okay?